Joining me right now is Flemington Car and Truck Country Chairman Steve Kalafer. And Steve, it is good to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Nice to see you.
So, here we are in an environment where we're seeing pretty good job growth, pretty good economic growth in general, and then you've got these job cuts, this closing down of the factory for GM. What's your take? Assess the industry for us right now in terms of growth and what's happening in the automotive sector.
Well, I think it's very short-sighted. GM, which used to be the heartbeat of America with Chevrolet, is becoming the fast food of Mexico. They're the largest producers in Mexico. The United States government and the American people bailed General Motors out in the last decade. Promises were made and promises haven't been kept. I'm a GM dealer for 37 years, an automobile dealer for 42 years. There has to be a balance between profit and loss, community, innovation, and responsibility. And I don't think GM is keeping that covenant with their customers or with their retailers.
Sounds like you think this is a specific to GM story. I mean, when you look beyond GM, you've got Tesla cutting 81 jobs at its Fremont factory today. That brings the total cuts at that main plant to more than 800. So do you see any of this as indicative of something deeper that's happening within the industry, or is this just a specific GM problem? Right
now, it's a specific GM problem. Tesla is a one-off. Tesla is a demand problem and a production problem. GM has the demand. They're choosing to fulfill their demand in Mexico. That doesn't keep with the covenants, the promises, all the goodwill that took place in the last decade that we are an American company. Now, I'm not naive. I run other companies besides automotive dealerships. We have to have that balance of profit and loss. But we also have to invest in our communities. We have to invest in our customers. Right now, GM is the furthest they've ever been away from their customers. Take a look at their board of directors. Very fine people, very accomplished people. There's not one consumer-oriented director on that company. Great companies, Northrop, the former chief of staff of all the armed forces, et cetera, and so forth. They're losing the closeness to their customer, and now the boundaries of where these cars are being made. What's the customer? How important is the customer?
Well, you make a good point, because I know you've got a family of dealerships that is family-owned, 8 locations, 16 different brands under your umbrella in New Jersey. But, you talk about the customer. The customer has been buying SUVs, have they not?
Absolutely.
Look what Ford is doing, saying we're only going to produce the Mustang. Look at all of these other, and trucks, these other automakers that are focused on larger cars. You think that's a function of the automakers pushing those vehicles out as opposed to the consumer wanting that. Is that right?
Marie, it's a combination of demand. I also represent Honda, Subaru. We're making passenger cars that customers want. They're making profits on it. Detroit has always had a bias toward small cars, small profits. Henry Ford said that back in the 50s and the 60s. I sit in meetings where the small cars or the cars are almost an afterthought. When you see 30% gross margins on those SUVs compared to 10 and 12% margins on the passenger cars, you say, why make them? Well, until you have to, until you become uncompetitive, until you just bow to the monster of today's need and today's fashion. And that's been the history of Detroit. That's why it took General Motors over 100 years to destroy their wealth. It took Ford almost the same amount of time, and Chrysler 80 years. These are managers.
Based on the, real quick, Steve, based on the demand that you're seeing from your customer today, which automaker is best positioned?
Subaru. Subaru has sport utilities and passenger vehicles. I can't keep them in stock. Honda, the same thing. Can't keep them in stock. Take a look at Toyota, which we're not. They are not abandoning the passenger car market. I think General Motors needs to wake up. I think management needs to stop looking for the new next best thing and stick to their knitting.
All right, we will leave it there. Steve, it's great to get your insights this morning. Thanks so much.
See you again soon.